I've never said this before, but I'm going to say it for the first time now. If there is going to be one video of mine you watch the whole way through, this is absolutely it. Guys, the next few months are absolutely paramount to our success, not just in 2025. Obviously, being successful in 2025 and playing the cards right, which is the primary aspect of this video, is important, but what we're not talking about and what people need to remember is that is going to be the sort of lever or the catalyst to what comes next, because unfortunately the world is going to be a very different place around 2030 and definitely beyond. So we need to take full advantage, and I strongly believe the next few months might be our last chance to really make this happen. And so this board right here is everything we're going to cover in today's video. Don't worry, I'll make it nice and quick and explain what the hell I'm actually talking about. But of course, if you guys want to view this yourselves, please, I implore you to go to the description below. I will leave a free link so that you can actually access this, and I encourage you to do so in your own time. Absorb the information, write down any notes that you might need to do to change what you're doing right now, because as I said, if you watch the whole video all the way through, things are going to start to open your eyes. Your jaw might even actually hit the table, okay? Let's get into it. So we all know that this is essentially the current state of the global crypto market cap, okay? We had 2018 back here, the bull run. We had the 2021 bull run, not as violent as we thought, and that's kind of, I think, what's going to end up happening in 2025. We're slowly going to be diminishing these blow-off tops that we typically had in the past, right? So the next few months, as I've outlined here, are going to be critical, not just for the tip of 2025, but sort of the what comes next, essentially, okay? I'm going to look at the fallout. This is probably the more important part in just a moment, but let's start off with the next 3 months. And why is this critical, okay? Again, I'm going to play into what's going to happen next in just a moment, but this is a pretty much A to Z checklist of what you should be doing right now. Guys, in a bear market, it is absolutely imperative that we look at our portfolio and we structure things so that when we are in a bull market, when things are ramping up and it's chaotic, if you haven't been in one already, it gets gnarly very quickly too. You're going to obviously want to be able to have your portfolio in the right position it needs to be. You don't want to be buying coins at 100%, 200% up. You want to find them now, get in them early, and then continue to buy at those different levels. Trust me, it's so important, okay? So the next 3 months, again, it's super important. If you aren't already doing the following things, you need to wake up ASAP. Again, use the sheet and write these down. The first thing you want to do is obviously ensure your portfolio is 100% up to not just your standards, but the standards that I am trying to push you, okay? It's built around your risk tolerance, okay? Number 2 is you have a clear idea of your ROI goals for 2025. Do you want a 10x on your portfolio, a 50x or 100x? And you can begin finding projects around that price range. You've chosen coins based on your risk. You're not just choosing coins because, oh, I might buy this one, or, you know, XYZ crypto YouTuber said buy this one. No, you buy them because of the risk. You've researched the project for at least a week, at least the ones you're going to buy, and you've assessed the potential ROI and it matches your goals. Again, you don't want to be buying a project like, let's just say, Ethereum or Bitcoin if you want to 50x your portfolio, or especially if your risk tolerance is like extremely high, meaning that you can go for the lower cap projects. Next, you have a strategy to keep up to date with news. I can't tell people enough how important this really is, especially in the bull market. You should, okay, I've made a whole video on this as well, right? Follow the project on Twitter, so a first-party source directly from the horse's mouth. Follow at least 1 to 2 project sources themselves. So this is influencers on Twitter, third party. Again, not influencers that talk about every project like I do. You want one specifically, if you can, into that project itself. Subscribe to the blog or Medium page. Join the community on Discord or Telegram. Be as involved as you possibly can, because sometimes alpha gets shopped there before anywhere else. And subscribe to or follow 5 macro experts in not just the crypto global market itself, but also the world, because that obviously has an impact on crypto. And it's crypto, so things move a lot more than other markets, okay? And lastly, DCA strategy is nailed down. You don't want to be guessing this. You know, the prices you need to buy to reach your ROI goal. You have assessed sell levels based on current price predictions, a minimum and maximum. That's very important you do both. And a ladder selling at prices offset from a significant level or resistance. So, for example, with Hedera Hashgraph, you know, when we get to levels or prices that we haven't hit before, so we're in uncharted territory, there's no clear support and resistance levels. So you want to find those little increments that are going to naturally be a level where most people go, oh, okay, we're hitting this level, I might start to sell at that level, because you want to sell just before that level, so you're definitely taking your profits on the way up, okay? And you buy at those levels, or you follow a strict DCA. It's as simple as that. Now, this next part, as I mentioned, is what no one talks about for some reason, but is a really important premise. And again, this kind of falls back into the next 3 months, because if we play our cards right in the next few months, it could be 3 months or 6 months, but pretty much the calm before the next bull market, right? The calm before the storm. If we play this next part right and we capitalize as effectively as we possibly can in 2025, well, over here, we're going to be in a position where we can begin to move away from crypto and become a lot more safe, if you will. Diversification obviously is key in life, but again, I'm going to talk about some events that are happening towards the end of the decade, aka 2030, which happens to be the next bull market, the one after 2025, of course. And that is going to play a huge effect essentially on the entire world, which might not even mean crypto will be around. Let me explain a little bit without getting too much into the foggy side of things. So having a plan for the bull market is only 2/3 of the story. You need to find a way to escape the matrix. Let me talk to you about why. The fallout of 2025 will shape your future. Let me repeat this. The fallout of 2025 will shape your future, okay? Doing this is non-negotiable. You don't just half finish an assignment and call it a day. So figuring this out now is paramount. So let's go into it. When you can diversify, crypto shouldn't consume your entire portfolio anymore. Again, we're talking about this point here, pretty much where we essentially are right now in 3 years' time, essentially. 1, begin researching stock, bonds, ETFs, and managed funds. Look to store wealth in gold, like physical, you own the gold, not paper gold, as in it's held within a reserve, as it's the safest form of currency. Given market conditions, real estate is a no-brainer, because what I've been told, and I've done a lot, real estate was the actual industry I wanted to get into before I found crypto, right? If you own off 3 properties, at least over here in Australia, you can actually live off that. It's about $110,000 a year, and you can comfortably live off the revenue you're making from those properties, okay? And that's 3 paid off. Now, if you haven't already, look at utility altcoins already working with the elite. So you want to future-proof yourself. You don't want to be buying half-assed cryptocurrencies at this point. At this point, it's the be-all and end-all projects, okay? The XXXs, the utility coins, the ISO coins, so on and so forth, right? Because crypto is going to be a very different environment after 2025, mark my words, seeing as a subsequent bull market will be happening in a different world. Let's touch on this in just a moment. You need to find altcoins that have a clear path forward, that have connections already that are disrupting markets and are showing that, okay? And you need to also look for projects that are like ESG compliant, right? So environmental, social, and governance, that's just pretty much falling into the WEF standards, right? Now, if you haven't already, this is when you should probably start looking at buying Bitcoin. Of course, all of this is not financial advice, because buying Bitcoin hasn't been at least my go-to for wealth creation. I've heard in the comments, why doesn't Karen buy Bitcoin or Ethereum? Guys, I'm trying to create wealth. Okay, I'm not trying to preserve wealth. I'm not trying to preserve my $10,000 and put a 5x on that. I am young. I can afford to put more risk into my life for a more prosperous future. Hedge into a digital future where it can be used for wealth preservation. Okay, so you got gold, physical, traditional. Gold will always be valuable. And then you have the hedge into the future, the digital side of life. And you don't, let me repeat this, don't go back into crypto. Of course, this is not financial advice, but this is at least me telling this to me in the future, right? Reinvesting all you make back into crypto is a death wish. This is why the next few months are so important to our success, because we really don't know the landscape in the next bull market, which might actually include a so-called crypto market. We might just have a whole bunch of projects that have moved away from the crypto market. We just don't know. This is a very, very new, unpredictable, unstable sort of new industry, guys. You've got to be very careful here, okay? So, okay, let's just say this all has planned out, right? And we're here right now. Well, if we fast forward to 2030, again, having the hindsight of, right, well, we made the right decisions in where we are right now, okay, 2023's bear market, okay, and we capitalized really well in 2025. We have maybe a few million, maybe $1 million, whatever it is. We have more money than we did before, at least we could ever dream of, right? This is what I want you to think of as a possible outcome in 2030. Now, I strongly believe this is going to happen no matter what, and I've got proof for you, but how severe, I don't yet know. So 15-minute cities, I think CBDCs are definitely going to be involved here and probably definitely in 2030. 15 cities might not be, but they're definitely coming at least within that next decade, okay? So again, it's hard to say when they're going to be implemented, but trials are happening right now. Cameras and barriers will prohibit you from leaving your zone. So a 15-minute city is essentially where all necessities will be no more than 15-minute walk or bike ride from any point within that city. Transportation will be restricted to a public transport only, and you'll need a permit to leave your zone. And how hard those permits are to acquire, I'm not too sure. Probably pretty difficult, okay? Now, this is being forced under the guise of sustainable living. Again, this is quoted here. And improving the well-being and quality of life for city dwellers. Basically, we're rats in a cage, right? You'll be heavily taxed if you live outside of these cities or fined for leaving without notice, so you need to be wealthy. Now, this is an example of a city over there in the UK called Oxford, and my heart goes out for these people, all right? This map is no joke. This is actually happening right now, okay? So again, this, breakdown here is essentially a, hypothetical, it's the year 2049 because this is happening right now, essentially. And residents of the UK city Oxford are unable to leave their neighborhoods. If they do, a network of cameras installed years earlier undergo a guise of easing traffic congestion. Again, a guise, right? But they track all pedestrian movements. Look at China, okay? If they stray too far away from their registered address, a £100 fine was automatically removed from their bank accounts. We'll talk more about CBDCs and how that will affect that in just a second. The only cars now allowed on the streets belong to representatives of the world government who relentlessly patrol the city for anyone breaking the rules. This is a chart right now. This is the city of Oxford, and this is all the districts broken up into zones, 15-minute smart cities. Guys, do more research if you really want to. This is happening, okay? I just don't know when, but CBDCs are I feel more confident in that it's going to happen in 2030. And again, I've got a map to show just why, okay? So what are CBDCs, right? Central bank digital currencies that are controlled directly from the central banks themselves, okay? Now, most, if not all, developed countries will have a CBDC by 2030. By 2030. Remember that, okay? So this is going to impact borrowing and lending at banks because, again, there's going to be a ledger, right? Just like a public ledger with networks like a Bitcoin, for example, but going to be completely controlled by the governments themselves, by the central banks. And there'll be things called retail CBDCs, which are used within the economy, right, within the private sector, and they'll be linked back into the public sector, or essentially this ledger controlled by the central banks, tracking everyone's things, okay? Now, also personal spending and habits, right? Stake, air travel, whatever it might be, okay? They can restrict or stop it. It doesn't matter. They can do it. They own the money, okay? Consumption of commodities as well, fuel, oil, etc. If you're exceeding the amount given to you, they can stop that because they can see it's all going back to them. Everyone in the economy might be allocated to $100 in fuel every week, or maybe $50 of fuel. And if you go over that, that's your own fault. Sorry, you're not getting any more. Narrative control, right? Disagree publicly, you can be shut down monetarily. So if you're outraged by this and you're an influencer of sorts and you say, hey, I disagree with all this, and you go to travel somewhere, they might cut that travel off. National pension as well. This is something hypothesized by a lot of people. So everyone will essentially be given a weekly allowance under the guise of you'll own nothing and be happy. I shouldn't really say guys because it's just straight out. That's how it is, right? This is actually quoted from the WEF themselves back in 2016. You'll own nothing and be happy. This is how our world will change, or could change, by 2030. Now, so you'll own nothing and be happy. That kind of plays back into the 15-minute cities. But you can imagine if everyone is given a pension of, let's just say, $500 every single week, well, that's pretty easy, right? Because then everyone's essentially happy. They're getting free money. They're living within an economy, heavily rule-bound, and that way they can control that. Okay, you're not earning any extra income. We can just, okay, well, we're taking $100 off you for this week, mate. So put yourself in a check. Simple as that. And so this is what 𝗡cie𝗿𝗱𝗩𝗣𝗡, the CEO and founder of Quant Network, said not long ago, a week or two ago. CBDCs are coming. I encourage every bank and financial institution to read the Project Rosalind report and start planning their smart money infrastructure strategy. And this is the current, up-to-date, as of 10 minutes ago, map of the CBDC developments across the world, okay? So launched is in pink, not very many, but a lot are in the pilot stage, including over here in the land and under. We have development, research, inactive, and cancelled. So, guys, it's coming in. 2030 seems to be the year this is going to really end up taking off, okay? But what does this all equal? This is kind of the point I need to get at. It's full financial and physical shutdown, aka global control. Anyone telling you to stop buying or promoting New World Order altcoins like Quant, for example, HBAR, any of these projects, XRP, needs a big time reality check. I'm calling you out individually here. The dystopian-esque things are coming, and 2030 seems to be the magic tipping point for this. Whether it all is integrated in 2030, maybe not. At least at most part it will be, but I think the subsequent years will definitely see a whole new world, okay? And again, a message to those people. Ideally, we set ourselves up for the possibility of this type of world so that we don't have to live in the confines of it. And that, my friends, is how we come full circle back to the conversation we're having today. Because the next few months, again 3 months, because from the state of things, I don't know when a bull market's happening. No one does. We might even be in one now. I don't believe so, but we could. And so you really need to nail down that first 3-month strategy I went through at the beginning of the video to make sure you're doing things right. I by no means gain anything from making this video apart from helping people, opening your eyes, and putting you into action ASAP. Now, this video wasn't designed for me to promote my own stuff, but if you really struggle with this and you're panicking, I can help you, right? Go down below to my description, and I have in my link tree a one-on-one consult or also a builder portfolio, of course, in my Patreon, where I'll cover all of this and more with you. Guys, just be very mindful of this. Take full advantage of the bear market we're in, because ultimately it could be the last bull market we see in 2025 that we can make a lot of money very quickly. Take good care. I'll talk to you soon.